Hello and welcome. I'm Sue Britz,
And I'm Tina Lokkbakk. Welcome to Retired.
podcast where we talk about what life is like when we put on new tread, new wheels that move us to our next adventure. So, Tina, good morning.
Good morning.
We have a return guest.
One of our favorite people on the planet.
That's right. We have an update on our friend Sharon. So, Sharon Davis is one of our colleagues that we used to teach with in Spanish immersion, and she retired back in the spring. Also, today we're going to hear from another fellow colleague, Jennifer Terra, who was also a teaching colleague who retired this last spring. We're going to find out what their lives are like since they've retired. Good morning, Sharon.
It's a big one.
Hello, hello.
Tell us about your chapter.
So, let's see. I think, as any teacher does during the summer, you're in total recovery. But I think your brain is different because your recovery is now, wow, I get to recover for the rest of my life, basically. But for the first 2 weeks, I was, I get up really early with the dog, obviously, but then I would take a nap. And they were quite long naps. And I was like, what is wrong with me? And then we went on a trip for about a month to Europe and came back. And again, it was recovering, kind of getting into that. So I feel like I've emerged maybe 2 weeks ago from kind of just the fog of not being guided by the bell, by not worrying about 150 kids, lesson planning, whenever I would get back home from my walks with the dog, I would get on my laptop and do schoolwork. Weekends, we worked weekends. Peter still works weekends. So, it's just kind of that mindset. So the mentality, I guess, of realizing that you really just don't have to work again. It's kind of nice, or you can work at whatever you want to work at. So that was kind of cool. And then I signed up for the Renaissance Society at Sac State. They have the classes, and they're kind of different things. They have one-off things, talks. One is the culture of Cuba. I signed up for that. Thought about you, Tina.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah. I joined 2 book clubs.
Wow.
I'm reading The Economist because Peter gets The Economist, and so you read articles and you talk about it with a group. I'm in a walkabout group, weekly
Wow.
walks.
Excuse me. I know why you're tired.
Yeah.
No, it hasn't
really.
started yet. That's the thing. It starts this week.
Okay, all those things, just even organizing all those things, and yeah, I'm sorry, you're not retired.
Yeah, but they're fun things.
Okay, and then add in the
Yeah.
Facebook. You're starting a Facebook
Oh.
group for retired teachers from our area.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right. Well, I guess I want to ask people about, the nitty gritty, the stirs, because they still have my income wrong. They have Jen's income wrong as well, but they're different. And we ended on the same salary. So I'm not sure how we're just talking about, that monthly final compensation. So I don't know why it would be different if we had the same income it's weird. And you call down to the district office, and the person that's in charge of my last name, because they have 2 people, she's only been on the job for 2 months, and she doesn't know how the system works. And she said, well, we're waiting for the Yolo County Office of Ed. And I'm going, but the Yolo County hears from you guys first about what our income was, and then they report it to STIRS. So it's like nobody knows what's going on. It's really, and this person was on vacation for 2 weeks. So I waited for 2 weeks for her to get back from vacation. Then I called her. I gave her 3 days with my email sitting in her inbox. And she's very nice, very sweet. She's like, I'm so sorry. I've been on this, new job. But you've got 20 people who retired from the district. And so we're all, I'm sure, in the same boat. That's why I started the Facebook page, because I want to know if everybody else has the same issue I do, which I'm sure they do.
Wow. We're hearing the reality of a just retired teacher
Yeah.
living
And
through
having
Well,
to
see, the-
work at this should not be your job. The check should arrive.
right.
You should not have to work
Right.
Well,
at any of it.
And the reality also of doing you're retired as of the June, but you've now gone through the summer, which is your normal routine, and summer is ending, and now we're out on the other end, and you're feeling maybe the retirement for the first time.
Yeah, because I was telling Peter as I left to see you guys was now you get to go to things that you want to do. You don't have this obligation of, okay, I have to go to work. Not that work was horrible or anything, but it was such a routine and I think towards the end of my career, I was just a total zombie because I was so tired. We had a TGIF last Friday, and one of my colleagues said, "My God, you look 5 years younger." It made me feel so good.
It's true. People said the same thing. You're
Wow.
like, oh my God, what's like the stress is taken off, and it maybe you have other stresses, but it's not the same thing as carrying all of them.
Yeah.
I think the part of teaching, I hear you. You go walk the dog at 3:30 in the morning, and then you come home and you're working, and every weekend you're working, and after school you're working. And I think, and see if this rings true to you, it's not just the grading and the creating a lesson. If that was all our job was, I think I could have done it and had some energy to do some things. But I feel like each year it becomes something added. And, as technology keeps taking off, we keep having added things, and they're so insignificant. It could be fundraisers for PE equipment that you get 20 emails, schedule people to come into your class to talk about. Really, it has nothing to do with education. It's just one more pressure, or there's one more thing that we have to coordinate for the kids that has nothing to do with teaching. That's how I felt. And if all those things had been eliminated and I could focus on my job that I was hired to do, which is create a lesson and evaluate their learning from the lessons, I think it would have been manageable.
Yeah. Yeah, agree with that. And also, there's the level of you're always in self doubt. Handle that situation correctly? Even after 28 years, it was, am I a good teacher? Am I getting to those kids? Why is that kid apathetic? Am I not entertaining enough? Am I not whatever?
Oh,
And then also worrying about the kids who are either addicted to their cell phones or
yes.
they're depressed or they just had a death in the family and all of those emotional pieces. um or thinking about that farting kid last year, that what was going on with him, why was he like that? And it was so funny because I saw his mom at the end of school, and she didn't say a word to me. She just walked right up to me and hugged me and said, "I am so sorry." Because she knew how
Oh,
challenging he was. And I was like, that's just a part of the job, that's but it stays with you, and
it does.
when I was walking the dog, I was always thinking about how can I get to that kid? How can I,
Yep.
and that's just kind of gone away. Now I'm thinking back when I walk the dog, oh, I really miss that kid, or she really likes singing every day, or so it's in more of a positive kind of thing.
A lot to carry. A lot of reflection and doubting and learning and growing. That's a lot of stress. You were saying, how this is all the different layers, and you only mentioned like maybe 10% of the layers. There's a lot more layers
You're
going
right.
on with colleagues and with your boss and the
Yes.
system and the testing and the and then there's your life, and then a job of a teacher is more than 100%. You can never turn it off, and it's a lot like being a parent. Being a parent, if you're wanting to do your best job, you're on all the time, and there's always more to do. So when you're carrying all these different parts of who you are, whether you're a dog mom or you're active in your community, whatever that might be, and you're trying to carry this job of being a teacher, it's so much. It's so heavy, but so wonderful too. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't have lasted as long as we did.
And as you just mentioned, Sharon, you're right. It's carrying all these kids. You're right. I forgot. You close that door and they're with you. the ones that really like your heart bleeds for or you're frustrated by, it never leaves. So it's like browsers on the computer that are open, churning, and you don't even realize how much of that it's taking up of your energy. And thanks for that reminder. And oof,
Yeah. That's why I laugh when you've got all these parents that are worried about us indoctrinating their children and these things about, okay, well, you need to call the parents if your a student has said that they're he, she, whatever. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. I can barely make it
breathe.
through the day. How would I be emailing somebody about, oh, your kid is now deciding to be, whatever.
Sharon, you just went right over the top of going a month to Europe. Give me a 30-second glimpse into what you did on that adventure.
We tend to go to England or through England. We always land in Heathrow. We have friends in England, and then we'll ferret off somewhere else. This time we went actually on a British Isles cruise. It was lovely. Yeah, I'm very spoiled. Very, very spoiled. I have to say. Great.
You're living the life.
Yeah.
You've always lived the life.
We try to get out, explore.
I think the last place you talked about was Jordan that I
Mm,
remember so vividly. You had just come back, and my mouth just to the floor,
yeah.
like, everybody goes to the traditional spots, and you picked Jordan.
Yeah.
And I
No,
love that.
actually, that reminds me, you guys were talking about Machu Picchu, and Sue, you said it was too late. It's not too late. And I remember you were complaining, I'm totally, veering, but
Yeah, we do this.
you were complaining about how it's gotten more like commercialized and stuff. I disagree
Oh, good.
because they've got it so controlled and organized. That's what I really loved about Machu Picchu. Yes, you have to fly in to Lima, then you have to get to whatever that Agua Calientes, I don't know what the name of that city was. Then you have to go to Cusco on the train. Then you take the bus up and you have to have a tour guide the first day, but it was so organized, those people were on time and punctual, and then the second day, you could go on your own. And so that's what I really liked about it. I didn't feel like it was commercial at all, as far as that.
There weren't
And
like
where
tons
did you
of people?
stay?
Were there tons of people? Not really. I didn't feel, I mean, London and Paris are worse,
Well, I know, but
the
those
people.
are cities. I mean, that you expect to be habitated and everything. But my other concern, Sharon, is realistically is the altitude. I mean, I've gone to altitude over here in California and hiked and stuff, and it's disgusting. And
Yeah.
I'd rather. So I'm now you're opening a door on
I'm
my
so
self
sorry.
doubt here. But it's a door that creeps open numerous times anyhow. It's about that romanticized vision that I had since forever. I'm happy at this point living with that. And I've got so many other um, adventures ahead of me that I want to do that I'm happy with that. However, if a door were to open and it magically presented itself like opportunities often do, then who knows? I mean, I don't say no.
We did it, and it was about a 9-day trip altogether. We went and came back very quickly. And when you take the bus up there, you only have to walk up a little bit to get to, the spot, the
Neat.
iconic, and then you can obviously walk the grounds.
See, she's making me.
It was pretty easy. And I wasn't in great shape. We went in 2015, I think. Well, that was 9 years ago.
See, that's almost, yeah, could have changed, but okay, regardless.
Yeah.
We
Anyway.
have already said my piece about Machu
Okay.
Picchu.
Yeah.
We'll do it.
Ah.
All right, Tina, any other intriguing questions that you have for Sharon? Just for Sharon. I have one. You're not answering.
Okay. No, I was formulating one, but go ahead.
Okay, you keep formulating, and I'll ask mine real quickly here. Were there any surprise feelings that you've had? Any emotions and feelings that you've had since you've internalized that you've retired?
two specific ones. One is the burden has been lifted. There's such a freedom. I'll walk 3 miles to our nearest Starbucks and then just set up camp and watch people. That's awesome. Read my book or listen to my podcast of my chicas. Um, so that's been really liberating. And then the kind of the negative one is that I feel like I should be doing more service wise. I haven't done my dog rescue thing yet. The dog rescue thing, I'm a little leery because I'm worried I'm going to end up adopting tons of dogs. So,
That's a healthy concern.
It's genuinely accurate.
but I have applied to be a poll worker for the election, and I'm very excited about that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah. So
I thought you said pole dancer. I thought, oh,
I
okay.
could do that too. I could shake my booty like everybody, man. Woohoo. Yeah. So yeah, those are kind of the opposite ends
That's
of the
interesting. Very interesting.
philosophies.
Tina, what was your formulated question?
Well, I really would like to have Sharon come back on and revisit this and see how you are feeling when there's no structure over a long period of time. Like right now, I feel like you're still kind of in summer vacation mode and it's ending. You know what I mean? Because school's only been for a while, but I would love to talk to you like come Christmas or winter break or maybe in the spring and just see what that's like. But one thing that I'm proud of you is you didn't just like check out and go, oh, now what? Or if you did, then you had 28,000 of these ideas. You've already thought it through. Did you think it through ahead of time? Or is this like you stopped and then you did think it through ahead of time? Tell us about that.
I
When
did,
did you start formulating these
yeah,
ideas?
probably in March, maybe after I talked to you guys. Had my list going. Just things I wanted to investigate and look into. I've also started new kind of cooking things. I'm trying to do one meal a week that's different than the boring. Um, but yeah, I definitely started because that's what we do. We plan ahead, don't we, as teachers? And so I didn't, yeah. And I've never understood when people say they're bored, I've never understood that because you cannot be bored in a land of books.
I agree.
And so, yes, sometimes I will read on the couch for 3 hours and I might nap in between, but you can't, you can always stimulate yourself, you know?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. And podcasts, I have to say, I love podcasts, but I never listen to them when I walk the dog because I have to be kind of alert. He sees raccoons and cats everywhere. But so I'm taking that second walk now, listening to my podcast. I listened to one with Jason Alexander the other day. It had me in stitches. So it was all about people acting badly in public. I thought about you guys because you had that whole podcast about
Kind of
behavior.
like what I just did,
Yeah.
I get silly. I get to be like my fifth grade, sixth grade sense of humor again. Grow up, would you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't think I'm going to be bored. I'm also kind of planning. I do have a skin cancer treatment happening in November, December. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's the precancers kind of thing. And basically, you melt your face off for 6 weeks.
Oh,
So,
yeah. I've heard of this. Yeah.
Like some burning kind of cream,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
sorry, Sharon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'd rather do that than have cancer
Yes.
and go through the surgery again. So, um, yeah, I'm preparing myself for that. So I might be kind of incommunicado for 6 weeks. When you guys are listening to me, I just feel so honored and just so respected and valued, you know?
That's big.
You guys are good though, the two of you, because you listen to each other and then but you take the meaning. You don't listen to respond, right? You listen to understand what the other person is saying, which is just a beautiful thing. That's why you guys partner so well together, you know?
I have so much to say about that, and I think that I attract people that monopolize because I am such a polite, good listener. And then I think that those seekers that find the listener, like they can go on for hours. And I remember there was at the cigar shop, that's when I really started to see it play out. There was like one group of men that I would sit in, and it was like ping pong or a, what do you call it, pinball machine, where the conversation popped and it was like invigorating, right? And then there were people that you felt held hostage by, where they're on and on and on and on and on about all the things they've done, all the things that they are, all the things that they, and it was like 3 hours somebody could go on if I sat there long enough. And so one of my skills now is to be able to get up and leave. I need exit plans because I'm not willing to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I want an exit plan. I actually have something printed out on how to leave.
Oh, good for
But
you.
I need to bring it with me and put it on flashcards and like practice it. But
Yeah. To look in
do
the
you see?
to read it in the
Do you,
toilet.
what's that?
To read it in the toilet because that's where you read your flashcards.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God.
TMI,
It's out there for real.
I've been listening to you guys.
I should send you a picture because there's a stack right now.
Hey, Tina, look who just walked in.
Oh my gosh.
You mean I jogged?
Fellow former teacher.
This is Jennifer Terra. She is one of our colleagues who has just recently retired.
I jogged in.
You jogged, but I see a car out there.
Shh.
Oh,
Education, so shh.
Get a little closer to the mic there.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So, Jennifer, you're fresh off the retirement bus. Tell us what your first reactions are.
Well, as you know, I retired in July, so the summer made it just seem like it was a normal year. From the first day of school, I knew there would be different emotions popping up for me because I left absolutely loving what I was doing.
wow.
It felt like it, I don't know, I've always loved what I'm doing, but there's also a bit of a rebirth in teaching, I think, because of different people coming in. And Sharon really added a lot of love and light to our school. And of course, the kids, I love the kids. So when it came the first day, Sharon and I had breakfast and we, chatted about school and other things. So it was kind of, I'd say it was bittersweet in the fact that, again, I went away having the same feeling as I did when I first started. I loved it. There was excitement. I loved it. There was excitement. And where do you go to work where you're walking down the halls? I had physical education and peer helping teacher. I walk down the halls and go to roll call. In this one period, I had a bunch of these students the year before. They're just super sweet. They'd make a little heart in their hand and say, "We love you." I mean, who gets to go to work like that? And so I completely miss that. But I know that for me, taking better care of myself and focusing on myself was important. But I have a couple tears in my meniscus, some kidney stones, and some other things. Nothing, major that I had to pull out for. Have some of our friends are going through. But it was just time for me to take. So it was bittersweet.
I'd like to ask, when did you know it was time? Like where were you? What were you like? When was the light switch? Like, this is it, and that's my decision.
I still don't know that it's time. I know that sounds strange, but I still don't know that it's time because I truly left loving something so much. So
Then why leave?
because it was okay. So some of the health things, and also my dad died in January, and that made both of my parents have passed now. And it gives a different perspective on life when both parents have passed. And I have a stepmom who's lovely, who's in town. And it just had me look at life a little differently. It's, I turned I'm a pretty inward, I'm a very spiritual person, quite inward, but it had me turn inward even more, thinking about my son's gonna have a second year in college. He's close by. He might go on a year abroad, maybe, maybe not. My sister's close by. I have good friends. They're close by. I have some relatives. And I thought, I need to be available. I need to be available for me. I need to be available to go and just enjoy being with family, maybe travel and see some relatives in, England and Ireland. And, you know, so it was the inward turning of, I think, having the loss turn into a deeper, meaningful connection with people.
Thank you for that sharing. That was powerful.
I think that's amazing. I think that's an incredible, an appropriate, and good reason that we don't often give ourselves. I mean, we're privileged enough to be able to retire, which is one thing, and to be able to do it and still be able to commit to doing that for yourself and your family. I think that's an amazing thing. If you need to be fed again by the school experience, you can always go back in a different capacity. Um, but you might find that this path takes you somewhere even more unexpected.
Well, I'm definitely subbing because I want to come back and see the students. And because I retired later, I didn't have a proper goodbye with most of them. I had a couple of peer helpers. They, in the summer, they made me dinner and their parents came and we had this, beautiful time. So I got to connect with a few of those students. And then but again, it wasn't um, a proper goodbye in my eyes because I've heard from a couple of parents with some students' reaction and that had come into our office a lot. So I want to go back and connect with them. So I'll substitute. That's important to me to see them.
Well, that's because you were a an institution too. I mean, you're not just an average teacher that retires. You impacted a lot of people, not kids and staff and everybody else. Yeah.
Well, I know that I'll keep in touch with staff. Sharon and I and all the retirees were invited to a TGIF on Friday. So I know we'll be connected because there's some lifelong friendships there. In the capacity in the lunchroom every day, no, that's not happening. But I've already gone out to dinner with our department. So I definitely will see people. It's just will be in a different capacity.
And you put in how many years?
Um, 37 years at one site.
Wow.
And that was I was telling someone, I got to start with Hal Reed and Cliff Gary. And Hal Reed was the first principal of the school. And he was a father, a brother, and uncle to everybody. He knew everybody's name. And I'm not talking just the staff, I'm talking the students. Now, granted, it was 500 something students, so it was a little different. That's tremendous. And adore Cliff. Cliff was hysterical. He was a good disciplinarian. He kept us in a good places. And how they were both just incredible people. And I'm leaving. And I left, excuse me, see, I'm leaving. I left with two incredible administrators. I feel like I left with incredible administrators as I started with. So that also, I think, makes it um, kind of beautiful and a happy way to to stop one's career. But yeah, 37 years is yeah, it's seen a lot. That's for sure.
So, would you ever entertain the possibility of returning? Like, can you return from retirement? Like, if you find out that perhaps after a year or two off, this isn't your gig, that you would rather continue working, would you even open your mind to that?
Well, I know it was the right decision to retire. So, and I also know it's the right decision to come back and sub for a bit. I have my master level in Reiki, so I'll be pursuing that more. And those people that know me know that spirituality is the center of where I lead from. So I'll definitely be doing that. And as I said, I'd like to go and see some family. My sister and I are already talking about going to see our brother in Prague. So to go back to Not to a full-time thing. I mean, if there's a short stint and they really needed something and it was a match for that time in my life, yeah, of course I'd help the kids in the school out, short-term situation, but not looking to go back. I need to move forward. It would be different going in 2 years than it would be.
You mentioned, you want to take some time basically for self-care to start putting energy back into you. So, can you explain your experience of teaching and self-care and how that was, I'm assuming, a challenge? Like, what makes it so difficult in time?
Well, teaching self-care is your whole day is filled with, hopefully what you're loving doing. So there is a bit of self-care in that because there's joy in what you're doing. But as we know, there's all kinds of little restraints, political things. There's some challenges sometimes with um, the outside world of school, I'll say, and the parents were amazing. There are a couple situations that were a little shocking. Um, the the parents, I think for the most part, that's not a big thing, but the self care, like I got Reiki, I got massages, I took walks, I did things for self care during the school day, but you are bringing all that energy home because it doesn't just end. And it might not end for somebody with paperwork. It might not end with somebody because you're taking that child that you're concerned about with you. And I think those are all fine things. The release of school does not happen. It's embedded in you. And there's beautiful, beautiful pieces of that. It also, I don't think I realized how much energy that compassion. I'm an empath. So how much that really that energy goes. And it doesn't have to be even bad energy, but that energy goes. So I've had a couple people tell me, and I thought I was a pretty calm person. I had a couple people tell me, you are so much more relaxed. And I think part of it was my dad's dying. But I do feel different because it's a different rhythm. It may be, oh, Sharon's over here shaking her head. Is there something that you wanted to say?
Yeah, I totally agree. Binge TV shows, you can read on the couch.
Grey's Anatomy.
Let me ask you, ladies. I got a text from Sharon saying, "Hey, we're just sitting here having a coffee on the first day of school." So, what did that feel? What was that like?
Being able to meet Sharon.
Yeah.
Well, because it's different than, like normally we have our summer, we recoup or revive, and then you come back and you have to get all amped up to get back to school and now you're not doing it. And now you're having coffee and knowing that your colleagues are over there teaching, the kids are there and they're yeah, tell me what that was like.
Well, first day I did the first day on steroids. So I had breakfast with Sharon. I went and did water aerobics. I went and got an hour and a half massage, and I had dinner with a friend who's works for the district. So
That was a good plan.
I knew I was really going to miss it. So I was able, first of all, I was able to do every one of those things. I go in the middle of the day and I'm doing water aerobics, and I've been doing some of that. Wow, this is my body is going okay. And then yeah, for Sharon and I just to be able to meet, I knew I would keep contact with Sharon. That was to me a no-brainer. She's amazing. We really connected. So it was nice. It's nice just to be able to say yes to stuff like that and just not look at the clock. I was thinking, this is hysterical. I was thinking, since I was 5 years old, I have lived by a bell.
Yes.
Yep.
Lived by a bell since I was
Yep.
5 years old.
Now you're not Pavlov.
And the site that I was teaching, I also went to. So I was actually at that site for 40 years, 3 of them as a student. So
Oh my word.
so
Wow.
So it's just crazy when you think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a little walkthrough. I did. I walked around when I was dropping some things off for people and saying hello. And when I left, back to that point, I just turned around and just took in where I had been sitting for years and walked around and just gave a little, bit of a gratitude. Just I stood there for I get choked up. Yeah.
Do you look at the clock now and think, oh, everybody's at fourth period right now?
Obviously, I'm not looking at clocks this morning. No, sorry. Um, no.
I still am.
Do you?
It's still wired in me, I think.
It is so funny because we're all different, and I don't do that anymore. From here, we can hear the bell in the neighborhood at the school, and sometimes if you're outside walking the dog, I'm like, oh, so glad I'm not over there right now. But no, I didn't look in on that either. But you did, Jennifer. You live in the same town I do, and you'll have this experience where after serving 37 years of kids, their families, you're gonna bump into everybody, and then which we always have done, but it starts being different as you get a few more years into it. Those you don't have that batch of younger kids coming through. You're going to bump into people, but they're all old already. You experienced any of that yet? Any difference in who you've bumped into and what that's felt like?
Well, that's already been happening for years
Well,
because
but it's going to take on a different feel now. Really weird because like I see all these little kiddos in the neighborhood. So I did elementary school, and I see all these little kids that I know that they weren't at the school when I was there, and that whole batch of kids is now gone. And yeah, so my peeps have stopped at a certain age level.
yeah, I did think about that. I don't think I'll probably feel that for 2 or 3 years, to be honest with you. So I also grew up in this community, so I have a little different flavor of that because I have friends who have children. I have some friends who have grandchildren. I don't know if they're in junior high yet, but so it's a little different that way when you grow up in the same town that you teach and live in.
But you've had students, and then you've had their kids
Oh
as
yeah.
students.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I just run into former students in bars and stuff.
So I wanted to ask, kind of like backing way up. Sue and I have talked about it. I want to hear from both of you how you decided to become a teacher.
Wow. I had a Spanish major in college. I didn't know what I wanted to do after that. I had many, many arguments with my dad. What are you going to do with the Spanish? Are you going to be a teacher? And I say, no, I'm not going to be a teacher. And 5 years later, my husband says, hey, you should take a class at Sac City. So I took child development, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be a teacher. And that was that. So parents tend to be right. They just need you to go through it yourself. So, but I'm glad I actually took 5 years before grad school going back. I think that was really smart. Yeah.
And you, Jennifer?
I knew in 7th grade that I wanted to be a physical education teacher. And
So why? What?
Well,
Who inspired you? Where did it come from?
first of all, I was very active. I love sports. I love the interaction. I'm an extrovert, which I'm getting a little bit of an introvert side now. It's interesting, but I'm definitely an extrovert. And I had the most amazing junior high school teachers. My mom became friends with some of them, so we saw them not only at school but socially. I went on bike rides with some of them. But I think I didn't know this till later, but I know that I felt this the whole time I was in junior high. My mom had to have a surgery. She had what was a grapefruit-sized mass in her uterus, and of course they don't know what it is till you go in. And about, I think it was 3 of the teachers, they got together, and I have an older sister and a younger brother, and my dad lived in, I think, Sunnyvale at the time. And to be able to keep us, they were thinking about how we were going to keep them in the schools here, because if their mom doesn't make it, they decided that they were going to get a house and have us all move in and raise us, with my dad, of course. So that is a kind of connection that I had
Wow.
with junior high school teachers, but I didn't know that for years. That's the kind of connection I had. They were people who were positive role models in my life. They were people who did stuff outside of school. even when I graduated in ninth grade, a couple of us, the teachers took a few of us out, went out to dinner, and there was actually D.O. Mills. I don't know if you remember, but there's a dancing place with it. Okay, I'm gonna go out and dance. And there was our principal, so I went up and asked him to dance. It was hysterical. So they always felt like they were uncles, aunts, father figures. And I want to take that away with my dad. They were there every day, and I saw my dad every like 2 weeks. But that was a wonderful human being. So that's the kind of impact they had on my life. So that was a place for me that teaching and junior high teaching was a place of love, support, happiness, connection. So it made complete sense. That is where I would want to go, what I would want to do.
That's beautiful. That's what we think of when we think of education and how it should be. Do you feel that it's harder now to be that type of teacher? Do you feel that back then, at that time, when you were in seventh grade, that there was more time for a teacher to be able to take on kids outside of school? Like, do you see a shift in time in what a teacher has to give to a student?
I think it's society, and it's unfortunately people who have made really poor decisions, interactions with youth, and just the fear that our society lives in, the skepticism, has really made it not as safe for teachers to, for example, there were a couple of us, there's a teacher whose husband had passed. She was like kind of a grandmother age, and she had a place in, it was Tahoe. Well, a couple of us went there for a couple of days and we hung out. She gave us this vacation that we would not have been able to have. I cannot imagine a lot of people being able to do that.
We can't give in the same way that we've done before because there is this terror of one wrong kid at the wrong time saying a thing. I think there is a clouded terror that we didn't have years ago.
I think you just have to be more mindful, especially unfortunately. I think the male teachers who identify as male have taken the brunt of that, and I've seen that a few times. Not to ever be alone in the classroom, and we're teachers are good, incredible, ethical, wonderful people. That's why they choose to be teachers. Unfortunately, you have some people who've gone in there who have some issues, and they've done some horrific things, and it flows in and drips into what we can do and how connected we can be on some level. But honestly, I think the difference for me, side hugging, kids used to come up and just throw themselves at you and hug you, and so I think people in general more that they don't hug a student. If a student initiates it, it's a side hug.
Yep.
So, and these kids are looking for connection. So yes, it's different. It doesn't. I think we show more by our actions and how we interact and how we treat the students. I think that's where they feel really loved. Where before, I think you could do a little bit more, like those the team parties at the end of the year, where you
I remember when, back in the day, you'd even take kids, ride them home. You're on a field trip and you're driving. These are gone
Oh,
too.
right.
And you drop them off at home. Or
Right.
after school, there's kids still sitting out there. An hour later, you drop them home. You would never think of doing that now. In fact, our training, I remember our training before school started, directly said not to talk about your personal life, home personal life. And you don't meet up with kids unless it's a school function, anywhere. And that's very rigid. To not talk about yourself. That's a lot about what we do with children in order to relate with them is to talk about ourselves. So yeah, times have changed. It's very scary and sad.
And that's where I think field trips are super important. I know they can be a bit of a pill because things are a little different what you have to do to go on a field trip. But I think field trips are important. We did a Santa Cruz trip at the end of the year with the peer helpers every year, and that's a highlight for them. And you bring parents, you just make sure you have a lot of parents involved when you're doing things, and they're the drivers. So there's still a way to do that and connect. Again, I do believe field trips are a really important experience for the students.
I have two things to say about that. first, and I always used to, and there are some teachers that didn't agree, but whenever I heard about a kid who had the ability to go on a trip, I said, you know what, to the parents who felt guilty, and I would say, they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. You're giving them a gift. They're not going to remember the week that they would have spent in the classroom with me as the memorable thing. So I said, you have my blessing. Number 2, Sly Park, 6th grade education was my joy because I got to just be me. I wasn't in the role so much as a teacher. I was there as a backup person in case they needed something or they, and we connected. But I felt so wonderful to go on hikes and just talk to them like a being and to go and do these activities with them instead of being in the role of, commander in chief and director and leader. And it was so wonderful. And I agree, like that's what made teaching amazing were the field trips.
I don't know. I do believe in completely, as I think most people can be, completely being yourself as you teach. And what I mean by that is that if I were to go meet somebody in the store, I wouldn't be different than I was in the classroom if I ran into a student. And not all subjects allow that because of some discipline and an age level. There's certain things you have to turn on and turn off. I think that as authentic as one can be in that role and the students see you, I think the connection can be deeper.
Sue, could we possibly, and would you two be willing, I really would love to meet with you come, let's say, next May and revisit how the year has been. Would you both be willing?
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, 1095. I would love to, because I think this conversation will be richness of all those months will be interesting, because I will have subbed. Sharon, I'm sure will have done things. Yeah.
So that's what we're going to wrap up with your final impressions of what you think your retirement road trip looks like right now as you move forward. It could be an immediate response, like what you think is going to happen just in a short view or maybe a long view.
For me, I'll definitely be getting back into Reiki, giving Reiki, being part of that community in a deeper and more consistent way. For me, there definitely will be some travel in there. My sister and I were just talking last night about taking a road trip to the Sequoias and doing some other things, and I will definitely be popping into San Francisco to take my son out. So it will be in more self-care, more consistent self-care, and working out. I'm already working out more than I did. It's 2 months of school. So.
More lunches.
Yeah, more lunches, more breakfast with Sharon.
Breakfast. Yeah.
I wanted to hear from Sharon.
I already told you guys what I was up to.
Exactly.
And how has it changed?
What's that?
Changed.
No, she already told us that.
She did. I just kind of figured you would do a recap. You know what I'm
no
saying?
Recap from Sharon, no summary.
But I guess that's
no
enough.
Restating the big idea, no using teacher strategies to wrap up an episode. Okay.
Yeah, I felt it was like Jennifer had the wrap up, so I need a Sharon wrap up. I can't. I don't feel comfortable with a wrap up. What's that, Sharon?
Did we cover our standards? What did you learn today?
Yeah, no. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? I feel like I'm left hanging. Yes, you said that, but could you I don't know, give us just a final
we should just leave it hanging. I like it. I like the free flow.
Oh, you do? I feel so uncomfortable. I feel like we just.
It's because you like the closure to be complete.
I like the free
so.
flow.
I feel like there's no period at the end of the sentence, Sharon.
Oh, yeah, that's good though.
All right, we're wrapped.
Yeah.
That wraps up this episode of Retired. Thanks for listening.
Until next week, please feel free to lend your feedback or ask questions by emailing us at retiredpodcastnewtread@gmail.com. You're invited to follow us on Facebook at Retired Podcast New Tread. Check the show notes for links and contact information.
Retired is co-hosted by Sue Britz and Tina Lokkbakk. is produced, directed, and edited by me, Sue Britz. Music and graphics are by me too. Please click to subscribe so that you won't miss your chance to
To join a
our
retired
retired
road
road
trip.
trip.